Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, Chiefs of Defense Staff in ECOWAS brainstorm on new ways of tackling terrorism and other security challenges in the sub-region at their 39th ordinary meeting in Abuja. Abducted son of former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, regains freedom as police arrest 5 suspects over the incident. INEC raises concerns over a rising number of political parties in Nigeria as reactions to reports by international observers on the 2019 general elections. And UN Special Investigator says Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and other high-profile officials are liable for the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Business news tonight. Debt Management Office rules out plans to float dollar-denominated Sukuk bond this year.
And on sports news, the waiting game continues as the Super Falcons return to training in Rennes, but are yet to know their fate of the ongoing FIFA Women's World Cup.
Hello, and from the nation's capital, dear 8 countries gather in Abuja for the launch of their health and social protection program towards achieving the first 4 UN Sustainable Development Goals.
The security tension in Nigeria's northeast and the West African sub-region is still a concern for the service chiefs in regional blocs, and they've been meeting to firm up a new approach that would help them set the tide. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olusegun, is one of the champions of the dialogue and believes that a new approach, which will include not just land but maritime security, is urgently needed. He was speaking at the 39th Ordinary Meeting of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS, holding at the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, reports.
The West African region over the past 10 years has become home to terrorist activities, armed robbery, piracy, and other offshoots of insecurity. This is despite several attempts by governments in the region to combat the situation. This is the 39th Ordinary Meeting of the Chiefs of Defense Staff in ECOWAS. And with each meeting, security of the region is on the front burner. This time, however, they say they're trying a different approach in line with today's realities.
This time around, attention will also be paid to security issues in the maritime domain. Accordingly, the chiefs of the naval staff are attending and expected to make contributions on issues of maritime security and safety, fight against terrorism, and status of small arms stockpile management in the region, amongst other issues.
The event saw the handing over of the chairmanship of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff, ECOWAS, to Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, who, among other things, called for better intelligence sharing to tackle funding of terrorist groups in the region.
The growing trend of local terrorist organizations affiliating with and receiving support from well-known international terrorist organizations has also become very worrisome. In this regard, we need to intensify intelligence gathering, joint and combined operations to combat this menace.
In 2018 alone, ECOWAS recorded 201 incidents of maritime piracy and armed robbery. The same year, the Gulf accounted for all 6 hijackings around the world. This is aside from the repeated cases of Boko Haram attacks and other acts of terrorism in the region. For 2 days, these defense chiefs will be assessing the level of compliance of ECOWAS member countries to the new ESF, the ECOWAS Standby Force structure. They will also build on joint initiatives to fight terrorism, as well as military interventions in the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau, after which a final report will be adopted. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And staying with security, the army has confirmed that its troops repelled an attack on its military base in Gajiram Ngazai local government area of Borno State on Monday evening. The spokesperson of the Operation Lafia Dole, Colonel Ado Issa, told our correspondent that there is no truth in the story that soldiers have been taken captive, but he did not confirm or refute claims that ammunition was carted away. Colonel Issa explains that a detailed situation report is still being expected and will provide an insight to the true situation of things. He adds that other operations carried out in Sector 1 in Kajeri and Sajeri villages by 112 Task Force on clearing operations were successful, leading to the rescue of 2 women and 3 children. Colonel Issa described the recent attacks around northern Borno as a fallout of the MNJTF Operation Yanchin Tafki that is pushing the terrorists from their fringes of Lake Chad, Niger and Cameroonian borders. Well, Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State is losing sleep over the security situation in his state. This explains the reason for his visit to the presidential villa in Abuja today to discuss ways to end the attacks. The visit is coming 48 hours after 3 suicide bombers detonated explosives at a football viewing center in Konduga, killing at least 40 people. The governor, who spoke to State House correspondents after the meeting, believes the steps being taken by the federal government will yield positive results. He also believes in strengthening the capacity of the civilian volunteers to assist the military in fighting the insurgency.
Basically, we wanted to address the root causes of the insurgency, especially the issue of access road, the issue of access to farmlands, and the issue of strengthening our civilian JTFs and as well as the military to perform their job better than before. Security issues are issues that need not to be discussed anyhow. But the government of Borno State is collaborating well with the military and other paramilitary to ensure that the citizens are being protected. Especially on my own part, I'm trying to strengthen the local people, that means the community, to be resilient enough, especially by providing them with logistics like vehicles and others, so that they should also make some certain surveillances, support the military. But by and large, our discussions with the military have gone well, and we are doing everything possible within our reach to ensure that stability has come to the people of Borno State. And most importantly, there is need for also to open other opportunities of bringing down the crisis rather than the kinetic force. It's also very important. Those people who are willing, people who have been forced to join the insurgencies, I think the government can do a favor by allowing them to integrate into the society. I think it's good.
The Borno State governor was not the only one who met with the president today. Members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria were also at the villa, where they asked the president to strengthen the nation's economic base through provision of power and transportation. Other visitors to the president are the governor of Ogun State, Dakwa Abiodun, and a delegation of traditional rulers from Kogi State, who asked for the position of Minister of Finance to be ceded to the state. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
President Buhari arrives at the council chambers to meet with members of the Council of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN. The interaction provided the manufacturers avenue to speak to the president on issues of export expansion, free trade agreement, incentives and infrastructure. On the free trade agreement slated for discussion at the upcoming AU summit in Niger Republic, President Buhari maintained Nigeria will be guided by national interest. A statement by the president's spokesman, Femi Adesina, quotes President Buhari as saying, "I don't think Nigeria has the capacity to effectively supervise and to ensure that our colleagues in AU do not allow their countries to be used to dump goods on us, to the detriment of our young industries and our capacity to utilize foreign exchange for imported goods." End of quote. The president, however, assured his guest that he understands the enormity of the challenges and the need to move fast, promising his administration will encourage the manufacturers. The president of the council sums up their requests.
We do recognize that the economy is still fragile and a lot more needs to be done in the second term to put the economy clearly on the path of sustained, inclusive and continuing growth.
Traditional rulers from Kogi State were also at the council chambers. They lauded President Buhari's achievements in his first term. They expressed support for Governor Yahaya Bello and made a demand on the president.
The chairman of our traditional council said, we are not comfortable with a Minister of State. So our status in the federal executive must be upgraded. I think that is one of our shopping lists. It must be upgraded so that we have a full-fledged minister this time around, probably by the grace of God, Minister of Finance.
On the accusation of being partisan, this is what the royal fathers are saying.
Some people in the media, social media, they already say we are playing politics. We are not playing politics, we are being realistic. When you are realistic, you say things as they are.
The last caller at the villa is the governor of Ogun State, who conveyed to the president the gratitude of his people.
Making June 12 Democracy Day on account of MK Abiola, who is one of our proud sons of Ogun State, I thought I should personally come on behalf of the good people of Ogun State, thank His Excellency for pronouncing June 12 Democracy Day. And recognizing that indeed MK Abiola is a uniting factor in the political history of Nigeria.
He also shared his vision with the president, promising good governance, security and attractive business climate in his state. From the presidential villa, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
The abducted son of the immediate past Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, has regained his freedom. Mr. Dayo Adewale was released barely 24 hours after he was kidnapped at his farm in Oyo State. It's not certain if any ransom was paid to his abductors, who reportedly wore masks to hide their identity when they stormed his farm and took him away. They then escaped through the neighboring village. One of his workers had raised the alarm and alerted the villagers, who quickly sent local hunters after the kidnappers. The hunters, however, found the car used by the kidnappers, but neither Mr. Dayo nor any of the abductors were found. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 11, Leye Uyibade, says 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with the abduction. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has allayed fears in some quarters that he is going to superintend over a National Assembly that would be a rubber stamp. The Senate President was speaking when he paid a visit to the Vice President at the villa in Abuja today. He says his reason for the visit is to thank the Vice President for his role and efforts that culminated in the emergence of the leadership of the National Assembly. Senator Lawan also promised to have a seamless working relationship with the executive for the benefit of all Nigerians.
We believe that we must remain united in the National Assembly. We must remain focused for us to be able to deliver those legislative interventions that will be necessary for good governance in the country. We also believe that we must have a relationship with the executive arm of government that is based on cooperation and collaboration. It is our desire in the 9th National Assembly to work seamlessly with the executive arm of government, because we believe that Nigerians did not make a mistake for voting for the executive as it is presently constituted and the legislature as it is today. A parliament is not a primary school or a secondary school where you have a headmaster or a principal that will dictate to his students. Parliament, those who know what parliament is an aggregate or an assemblage of people that have equal status. Being elected as Senate President does not mean that I'm the boss of these other senators. I'm simply to coordinate and lead and aggregate views and lead debates. And whoever is in majority, that will be the decision of the Senate appropriately and accordingly. So there will be nothing like a rubber stamp. So far, I have never seen a National Assembly that had a rubber stamp leadership, and I've been around for 20 years to know if there was one.
In part 2, after the break, Channels Television hosts top officials of Bloomberg, partners global media giant, to deliver quality reporting of business and markets in sub-Saharan Africa. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.